I shot my husband in the kitchen that Tuesday morning, the bullet ripping through his shoulder just as the coffee maker gurgled its last pathetic drip. Blood sprayed across the granite countertops like abstract art from hell. And for a split second, I wondered if the neighbors heard the pop over their own bullshit podcasts. But I didn't call 911. Not yet, because the real crime wasn't the gun. It was the lie I'd lived for 8 years. The one where I played the devoted wife while he buried our marriage under a pile of secrets and side pieces. You think that's the hook? Wait for this. I loaded that Glock with his own ammo. The kind he kept hidden in the garage for protection, and as he slumped against the fridge, gasping like a fish on dry dock, I whispered the truth he'd never admit, that I'd taken the fall for his embezzlement back in 17, rotting in that soul-sucking community service while he climbed the corporate ladder on my sacrifice career. And the kicker? I only pulled the trigger after faking my layoff to catch him red-handed. Because trust me, darling, nothing tests a man's soul like thinking the checks just stopped coming. That's when the real storm hit, not the sirens wailing up the block 10 minutes later, but the flood of memories crashing in, each one sharper than the next, dragging me back to the beginning of our perfect American nightmare in the heart of Chicago's Gold Coast. The rain hammered the windows of our high-rise like it had a personal grudge, turning Lake Michigan into a churning beast below. It was the kind of November gray that seeps into your bones, the sort that makes you question why anyone ever romanticized the Midwest. I remember staring at my reflection in the glass, 34 years old, lines etching my forehead from too many 90-hour weeks at the firm, my auburn hair pulled into a no-bullshit ponytail. Elena Vasquez, senior litigator, the woman who'd clawed her way from a shitty public defender gig in Pilsen to arguing multi-million-dollar cases in marble-clad courtrooms. That's who I was before the lie. Before Mark. We'd met at a rooftop mixer in Wicker Park, back when craft cocktails still tasted like promise instead of regret. He was the golden boy from Goldman Sachs, tall, broad-shouldered, with that easy Midwestern charm that hid the shark beneath. Elena, you look like you could dismantle a boardroom with a single glare, he'd said, handing me a gin and tonic, his blue eyes crinkling just enough to make you believe in fairy tales. I laughed, because who wouldn't? In a city of transients and trust fund kids. He felt solid. Real. We fucked that night in his loft overlooking the L tracks, the elevated train rumbling like applause as we tangled in Egyptian cotton sheets. Fast forward 3 years, wedding at the Drake Hotel, 400 guests in black tie, my abuela tearing up from the front row because he's a good man. Mija, he provides. And he did. At first. The penthouse in Streeterville. The weekend getaways to Door County. The way he'd surprise me with tickets to the Blackhawks when I'd spent all week buried in depositions. But cracks show early if you're paying attention. Like how he'd dodge questions about his late nights at the office, or the way his phone buzzed incessantly. Always face down on the nightstand. I ignored it. We all do, don't we? In this grind of American dream chasing, mortgages, 401ks, the endless scroll of Instagram perfect lives, who has time for paranoia? I was too busy winning cases, too invested in the myth we'd built. Until the firm called me into HR that crisp October afternoon, the one that started it all unraveling. Sit down. Elena, my boss, Harlan, said, his voice like gravel in a blender. The conference room smelled of stale coffee and impending doom. Corporates restructuring. Layoffs across the board. It's not personal. Bullshit. It was always personal in big law. I'd just closed the merger for that pharma giant, the one that padded their bottom line by jacking insulin prices while diabetics rationed doses. My bonus should have been 6 figures. Instead, they handed me a severance package thicker than my ego and a cardboard box for my shit. I drove home in a daze. The loop traffic a blur of honking cabs and jaywalking suits. Mark was in the kitchen when I walked in, sleeves rolled up, chopping onions for some quasi-Italian thing he pretended to cook from scratch. "Hey,
Babe.
how was?" I dropped the box on the island, the thud echoing like a gavel. "I'm out." Fired. His knife paused midair, eyes widening in that practiced sympathy.
What?
"No way. That's insane. Come here." He pulled me into a hug. His cologne, that crisp cedar scent, wrapping around me like a security blanket. I buried my face in his shoulder, letting the sobs come because, fuck, it hurt. 10 years building that armor, and poof, gone. We spent the night on the couch, red wine flowing, him stroking my hair while I vented about Harlan's spineless ass and the partners who'd probably toast my exit with single malt. "You'll bounce back," he murmured, kissing my temple. "You're the toughest broad I know. We'll figure it out." That's when the seed planted. Or maybe it was already there, festering under the surface. Because as he held me, his phone lit up on the coffee table, 3 chimes, rapid fire. He glanced at it, thumb hovering, then flipped it over with a casual "work crap." But I saw the preview, a heart emoji. Then "can't wait for Friday" winky face.
Who the hell was Friday with? I didn't ask.
Not then. Instead, I played the part grieving professional, doting wife. Filed for unemployment, updated LinkedIn with that vague, excited for new opportunities horseshit. But inside, a cold calculus started ticking. We'd been married 8 years. I'd fronted half the down payment on this place from my own savings. The ones I'd scraped together after law school loans nearly drowned me. If things went south, I'd be starting from scratch while he sailed on. So I decided to test him. Not some half-assed, forget our anniversary nonsense.
No.
I went nuclear, pretended the layoff was the end of our financial world. Stopped contributing to the joint account. Let the Amex bills pile up. Watched. Waited. Because if love was the glue, money was the solvent, and I needed to see what dissolved first. The first week was golden. Mark brought home Thai takeout, ran me bubble baths, even dusted off his old guitar to serenade me with some Dylan cover that made me snort laugh despite the knot in my gut. "We're a team, Elle," he said one night, clinking his beer to my wine glass. "Fuck the firm. You've got options. Hell, maybe start your own practice. I'll back you." It almost worked. Almost convinced me I was the paranoid Latina stereotype my exes loved to whisper about. But then Friday rolled around. I'd taken to napping in the afternoons, claiming job hunt exhaustion. But really, I was glued to the Nest Cam I'd quietly installed in the living room. Primitive. Yeah, but effective. At 7:15 p.m., the door buzzed. Mark. Home early. Whistling some pop tune I didn't recognize. He poured a scotch.
Neat.
Then dialed his phone. "Hey. Gorgeous," he said, voice dropping to that velvet rumble he used on me in bed.
"Yeah."
"She's out cold. Coast clear. Be here in 10. My stomach twisted like a knife in a wound. Gorgeous? Coast clear? I slipped into the bedroom, heart hammering, and cracked the door just enough to hear the elevator ding 20 minutes later. Heels sharp, expensive, clicked across the foyer. "Miss me," a woman's voice purred, low and throaty, like she'd smoked one too many Marlboros in her day. Like oxygen, Mark replied. And then the sounds, wet kisses, a zipper's rasp, the thud of bodies against the wall.
I didn't burst in. Didn't scream.
Just watched from the shadows as they stumbled to the couch. Her blonde hair, extensions, probably cascading like a bad rom-com. She was younger, maybe 28, in a pencil skirt that screamed junior associate. His hands roamed like they owned her, and she laughed that breathy laugh that said she'd heard all his lines before. They didn't make it to the bedroom. Right there, on the leather we'd picked out together in Bucktown, he fucked her while I stood frozen, bile rising in my throat. It lasted 12 minutes, me counting each thrust like rosary beads. When they finished, panting and giggling, she lit a cigarette, blowing smoke rings toward the ceiling. So, when are you telling her? She asked, tracing his chest with a manicured nail. Soon, he lied. Because that's what Mark did best, compartmentalize until the compartments overflowed. Once the dust settles from her firing. Don't want to pile on. Dust from my firing. Like I was some inconvenient footnote. She bought it, nuzzled closer, and they whispered about weekends in Milwaukee, about us like it wasn't a grenade with the pin half pulled. I backed away, silent as a ghost, and spent the night in the guest room, staring at the ceiling fan's lazy spin. By dawn, the plan crystallized, not revenge, not yet, but revelation. I'd play along, let him think the wool was still over my eyes. Let him dig his own grave with every stolen kiss, every late-night text. Because in Chicago, where the wind cuts like betrayal, the only justice is the kind you serve cold. But that was just the appetizer. The real feast of fuckery was coming, layered with secrets I'd buried deeper than his affairs. Secrets like the audit in 17, the one that nearly tanked his career before it even peaked. I'd confessed to the discrepancies, fudged expense reports, siphoned client funds for his gambling debts because I loved him, because in sickness and in health sounded noble until the cuffs clicked. Community service in a South Side soup kitchen, my bar license on probation, while he got a slap on the wrist and a promotion. I'd never told him the full extent, how I'd lied to the feds, shredded documents in the dead of night, all to keep his golden halo intact.
And now?
Now it was time to unspool the thread, watch the whole sweater unravel. The next morning, I brewed coffee strong enough to strip paint, pasted on a smile, and joined him in the kitchen like nothing had happened. Rough night, he asked, pecking my cheek. Just the wine, I lied back, smoother than silk. What's on for today? Hubby, he grinned, oblivious. Work, then maybe drinks with the team. You should come, network a bit.
Oh.
I would. But not for jobs. For ammunition. The Loop was a madhouse that afternoon. Suits dodging puddles like landmines, the L rattling overhead with its symphony of squeals and curses. I nursed a black coffee at a corner Starbucks. The kind with overpriced pastries and underpaid baristas. Scrolling through Mark's texts I'd hacked 2 days prior. Child's play. Really, his password was our anniversary. The lazy bastard. Mistress Material, he'd labeled her, Tara. 28. Paralegal at a rival firm. With a feed full of yoga poses and boss babe quotes that made me want to puke. Their chat history read like a bad erotic novel, late-night sexts, inside jokes about escaping the ball and chain, plans for a cabin getaway in the up once things sorted.
Sorted.
As if our life was a puzzle he could rearrange without me noticing the missing pieces. I pocketed my phone when Harlan texted, Coffee? My treat. Unofficial. Harlan Voss. 50-something partner with a comb-over and a penchant for Scotch neat. The man who'd signed my pink slip but now wanted to talk. I met him at the Gauge, a dimly lit pub off Michigan Avenue. All dark wood and leather booths that smelled like old money. "Elena," he said, sliding into the seat opposite, loosening his Hermes tie. "You holding up?" I arched a brow, sipping the pour-over he'd ordered for me strong. Bitter. Like our history. Define holding up. If you mean chain-smoking in my silk pajamas, then yeah. Aces. He chuckled. That dry bark. And signaled for another round. Look. The layoff. It wasn't clean. Board's jittery after the antitrust probe. Your name came up, too aggressive on that depot last month. Aggressive? I'd called out their CEO for perjury. Saved the firm a potential contempt charge. But in big law, loyalty's a one-way street. So, scapegoat, something like that. He leaned in, voice dropping. But off record, there's chatter. Internal audit from 17 resurfacing. Old discrepancies. They're sniffing around again. My blood iced over. The 17 mess, Mark's gambling spiral. The creative accounting, I'd confessed to shield him. I'd done my time, 6 months scrubbing pots in a church basement. License tainted like a scarlet letter. The feds had closed the file. But audits have long memories. Who's asking? I pressed, nails digging into my palm. Anonymous tip. Points fingers at you.
But. Sloppy.
Like someone wants distraction. His eyes met mine. Sharp as a scalpel. You know anything? I forced a laugh. Light and deflecting. Harlan, if I did, I'd be billing you for it. We parted with vague promises, him to make calls, me to stay frosty. But as I hailed a cab back to Streeterville, the pieces clicked. Mark. Had to be. Covering tracks. Maybe. Or leveraging my past indiscretions to keep his nose clean while he played house with Tara. Home was quiet when I arrived. Mark still at the office, or so he thought I believed. I poured a glass of cab from the Napa Valley stash weed, saved for special occasions, then settled at the island with my laptop. Time to dig deeper. Public records first, Mark's financials. Cross-referenced with his bonus cycles. Patterns emerged, dips in our joint savings correlating with his Vegas conferences, payouts to offshore accounts I'd never authorized. Then emails. Forwarded from his work alias I'd fished last week. CC'd to a consultant named Victor Reyes. Shady fucker out of Little Village with ties to the outfit's remnants. Loans? Extortion? The dots connected to a blurry picture of desperation. By dusk, I'd mapped it. Mark hadn't stopped gambling. He'd escalated. Sports bets on the Bears' inevitable collapses. High-stakes poker in underground clubs off Halstead. And Tara? Not just arm candy. She was his fixer, laundering small sums through her firm's escrow. The texts hinting at kickbacks. Rage simmered. Hot and viscous. But I banked it. Revenge isn't a sprint. It's a marathon with tripwires. I texted him, miss you.
Dinner in?
Made paella. His reply, God yes. Home in 30. Love you.
Love.
The word twisted like barbed wire. He walked in smelling of rain and deceit, scooping me into a bear hug that pressed his hardness against my thigh, routine foreplay in our early days. Now just muscle memory. Smells amazing.
Babe.
We ate by candlelight. The pie is spicy with saffron and my unspoken accusations. Him regaling me with office drama while I nodded,
Smiled.
played the part. After, in bed, he rolled toward me, hands sliding under my tank top. You okay? He murmured, lips brushing my neck. Tired, I lied, turning away. Job hunt's kicking my ass.
He sighed.
But didn't push. As his breathing evened into sleep, I stared at the ceiling, the city lights fracturing through the blinds like shattered glass. Tomorrow, I'd up the ante, drop hints about money woes, watch him squirm. But tonight, I dreamed of the Glock in the safe, its weight a promise. The next day dawned brittle, frost etching the windows. I networked at a coffee shop in Lincoln Park. Laptop open to Indeed listings I had no intention of applying for. Really? I was emailing Victor Reyes anonymously through a VPN. Heard you're discreet with debts.
Meet?
Neutral ground. His response pinged within hours. Tomorrow. Billy Goats. 2 p.m. Come alone. Billy Goat Tavern. Under the Michigan Avenue Bridge, dive bar famous for no Pepsi signs and cursed Cubs lore. Fitting for a deal with the devil. Mark was oblivious, kissing me goodbye as he headed to a client lunch. I waited until his Audi purred out of the garage, then suited up, black jeans, leather jacket, the kind that says don't fuck with me without screaming it. The L ride downtown was a blur of commuters buried in their feeds, oblivious to the storm brewing in the woman sketching kill lists in her notes app. Victor was already there when I arrived, nursing a old style at the scarred bar, his face a map of old scars and newer regrets, ex-con vibe, with a gold chain peeking from his collar. You Vasquez's wife. I slid onto the stool, ordered a Coke. What's it to you? He smirked, yellow teeth flashing. Heard Mark's in deep. $50K last quarter alone. You here to settle or stir? St. Sir. I leaned in, voice steel. Tell me everything. No bullshit. He eyed me, then spilled. Mark's debt started small, bachelor party losses in AC, but snowballed after a big score on the Sox in 19. Victor fronted loans at 20% VIG, but Mark paid with IOUs backed by creative means. Your hubby's got sticky fingers. Lady. Skimmed from his bonus pool. Funneled through a shell LLC. Tara? She's the mule, sweet kid. Thinks it's investing. My knuckles whitened around the glass. Proof. He slid a burner phone across the bar, unlocked to a folder of screenshots, wire transfers, coded texts, even a blurry photo of Mark handing an envelope in a Fulton Market alley. This buys silence. Or exposure. Your call. I pocketed it, tossed 100 on the bar. Keep feeding me. I'll make it worth your while.
Outside.
The wind whipped off the river, carrying the metallic tang of Lake Street. I felt alive, electric, dangerous, like the Elena who'd cross-examined mob lieutenants without flinching. Back home, I uploaded the files to an encrypted drive, then prepped for Phase 2, the Desperate Wife Act. That night, over takeout lo mein, I broached it casual-like. Bills are stacking. Mark. Severance is gone faster than I thought. Maybe sell the Jag. His fork paused, chopsticks hovering.
Whoa. Slow down.
We're good. I've got savings. Savings? I pressed, eyes wide with feigned worry. From what? Your bonuses barely cover the mortgage. He shifted, that telltale jaw tick. Hey, Trust me.
I'll handle it. Just.
Focus on you. I nodded, biting back the urge to laugh.
Handle it.
Like he handled our vows. The week blurred into a tense tango, me applying to jobs, him working later, Tara's texts pinging like Morse code. I caught them once in the laundry room, him cornering her against the dryer during a building mixer. Her skirt hiked, his pants unzipped, the mechanical hum masking their grunts. I backed out before they spotted me. Heart a war drum. Enough. Time to twist the knife. Thanksgiving loomed like a bad hangover. The city bloating with early Christmas lights and forced cheer. I volunteered at my old soup kitchen gig, ironic penance, ladling turkey tetrazzini to the line of hollow-eyed faces, the steam rising like ghosts from my past. Abuela called midway, her voice crackling from the landline in Pilsen. Mija. When are you coming home? This man, he treats you right. Always. Abu? I lied. The ladle heavy in my hand. Home. What a joke. My real home was the one I'd torched for Mark. The career I'd confessed sins for to keep his ledger clean. Back in Streeterville, the penthouse smelled of pine from the tree he'd surprised me with, 8 feet of Fraser fir. Decked in ornaments from our travels, the gondola from Venice, the sombrero from Cabo. Domestic bliss. Right? Except Tara's lipstick smeared the rim of a wineglass in the sink that morning. Coral shade I'd never worn. I confronted the mirror, practicing smiles, the brittle one for show, the feral one for later. Tonight was family dinner, his parents from Naperville, my abuela flying in, the whole performative circus. Mark wanted normalcy, he said. I wanted detonation. The buzzer sang at 5 p.m.
Sharp. His mom.
Karen bleached bob. Athleisure eternal, hustled in with a casserole bubbling under foil.
Elena.
Honey, we brought wine. And prayers for that job hunt. Hugs followed, stiff and scented with Chanel No. 5. His dad trailing with a six-pack and golf stories. Abuela arrived last, taxi fresh from O'Hare. Her silver braid coiled like a crown, eyes sharp as ever. Mean Nina, she murmured, cupping my face. You look thin. He feeding you? We laughed it off, but her gaze lingered, maternal radar pinging the fractures. Dinner unfolded in the dining room. Cityscape glittering beyond the floor-to-ceiling glass like a promise of escape. Turkey carved. Yams candied with marshmallows, Midwest heresy. Toasts clinking to better days. Mark played host flawless, refilling glasses, cracking jokes about my temporary sabbatical, but I caught his glances at his phone, thumb twitching under the table. Then it happened, a chime, loud in the lull. He fished it out, face paling. Work, he muttered, excusing himself to the balcony. Abuela's brow furrowed. On Thanksgiving? I shrugged, but inside, gears turned. Later, as Karen cleared plates, I slipped out to check on him. The balcony doors fogged with breath, the wind a howl off the lake. Mark paced, phone to ear, voice low and urgent. That I know, Vic, but 50's too steep. Give me till January. Victor. The name hit like a sucker punch. He was haggling debts on Turkey Day, with my family 20 feet away. Tara's handling the next wire. But L's onto the cards. Can't risk. Onto the cards. Me. He thought I was clueless, but paranoia was leaking. I stepped out, letting the door whoosh shut. He whirled, ending the call with a jab. Babe, Thought you were helping with pie. Who's Vic?
Casual.
Like asking about the weather. His laugh barked too loud. Vic? Old college buddy. Poker league drama. Liar, I said, soft as sin. Try again. The wind gusted, ruffling his hair, graying at the temples now. A reminder of time's cruelty. Elena. What the hell? It's nothing. Stress from work. I closed the distance, hand on his arm, feeling the tremor. Stress? Or the hole you're digging? I saw the statements.
Mark.
The Vegas pulls. The consulting fees. We're drowning. And you're bailing with what? Her. His eyes widened, then narrowed the flip. From cornered to combative. You spying on me now? After everything I've done? Everything you've done? I hissed, voice rising with the gale. Like fucking the babysitter. Wait. No. The intern in our home? Or confessing my crimes to keep your hands clean? He froze. Color draining. What are you? 17. The audit. I took the heat.
Mark.
Shredded files. Pled guilty to fraud I didn't commit.
For you.
Because I believed in us. Tears stung. Hot and traitorous. And this is how you repay? By whoring around and gambling us into the poorhouse. He grabbed my shoulders. Grip bruising. You think I wanted that? The debt started after your heroics. Tanked my cred. I was climbing L's senior VP track, and you played martyr. Dragging us both down. Martyr. The words sliced deep. I'd done it for love. For the life we'd sketched on napkins at that Wicker Park dive. Kids. A brownstone in Lincoln Square. Lazy Sundays at the Art Institute. But his eyes now? Cold calculation. The shark surfacing. Lower your voice, he snarled. Families inside. Let them hear. I wrenched free, storming back in. The table fell silent as I passed, Abuela rising with a hand outstretched. But Mark followed. All charm, just a lover's quarrel. More wine. Ma. The rest blurred, pie served. Football on the TV. Laughter forced as toasts turned to small talk. Abuela cornered me in the kitchen later. Dish towel in hand. He's poison.
Mia.
I see it. Leave before it kills you. Her words echoed as they left, taillights fading into the night. Mark poured scotch. Neat. Collapsing onto the couch. We good?
No.
But I nodded, curling against him like a trap springing shut. We're good. That night. Sleep evaded. My mind a carousel of contingencies. Confront Tara? Torch the financials? Or draw it out? Let the debts compound until Victor's boys came knocking? Monday brought escalation. I landed an interview, fictional, at a boutique firm in the West Loop, and dressed sharp, pencil skirt, heels that clicked like countdowns. Mark kissed me at the door, oblivious.
Knocking dead.
I did, in a manner. Instead of the interview, I tailed him from the parking garage, his Audi weaving through morning rush to a coffee shop in River North. Tara waited at a corner table, latte steaming, her laugh tinkling as he sat. I watched from across the street, rain-slicked window blurring the betrayal. They leaned close, heads bent over a tablet, spreadsheets, wires. His hand covered hers, thumb stroking, and she beamed up at him like he'd hung the moon. My phone buzzed, unknown number. Saw your tail. Careful.
Chica.
Vic says hi.
T. Tara.
She'd clocked me. Game on. I fired back, Tell Vic the wife's cutting a deal. Or I cut you both. Her reply, bluff. Mark says you're broke and broken. Stay out. Broke and broken. Rage boiled over. I hailed a cab to Little Village. Victor's haunt, a taqueria with peeling paint and bulletproof glass. He was in the back booth. Burrito half-eaten. Eyes lighting as I approached. Changed your mind, he grunted. New terms. I slid the burner photos across. These go public unless you flip. Testify to Mark's schemes. I get the docs, you get paid. He chewed thoughtfully. Risky. He finds out. He won't.
Lie.
But conviction sells. Do it. And the vig's on me.
Cash.
Victor nodded slow. You're a viper. Vasquez.
Deal.
Adrenaline hummed as I left. The city of Vane pulsing with possibility. Back home. Mark texted. How'd it go? Promising. I replied. Drinks to celebrate? That evening. We hit the violet hour, speakeasy chic. Cocktails in teacups. The crowd a mix of finance bros and influencer wannabes. He ordered Manhattans, I stuck to gin. The botanicals biting like truth serum. To us, he toasted, clinking delicate china. To debts paid, I countered, watching him swallow wrong. The flip came subtle, a text under the table. His face tightening. Everything okay? I asked. Innocent.
Yeah. Just.
Vic being Vic. He forced a grin. Old shit. I pressed. Gin loose. Vic as in the loan shark? Or the one you beg for extensions? His glass hit the table hard. Amber sloshing. What the fuck? Elena? You been digging? Since the lipstick in the sink. Calm. Clinical. Tara's cute. Young. Does she know about the hookers in AC? Or just the creative accounting? Patrons glanced. Whispers rippling. Mark's face mottled red. Keep your voice down. This is insane. You're unstable since the firing. Unstable. The word ignited. I stood. Chair scraping. Unstable? I confess to your crimes.
Mark.
Lied to feds. Lost my shot at partner, for you. And you repay with this. He rose too.
Towering.
You think that was easy? Covering your ass? No. Your screw-up exposed us. I fixed it. My screw-up? Laughter bitter. You gambled our future. Asshole. I cleaned it. Security hovered. We stormed out. Him to the Audi. Me walking the blocks home. Heels blistering. Tears freezing on my cheeks. He didn't come to bed. Slept on the couch. The city a silent witness. Dawn broke gray. I brewed coffee. Loaded the Glock from the safe, his protection, now mine. Clicked the chamber. The sound final. When he shuffled in, bleary, I leveled it at his chest. Morning. Love. The barrel's black, I stared him down. Unblinking. The kitchen clock ticking like a bomb in the silence. Mark's mug clattered to the floor. Ceramic shattering in a brown arc. His hands shooting up slow. Palms out.
El.
What the? Put it down. This isn't you. Isn't it? My voice steady. Finger feather light on the trigger. The Glock's weight anchored me. Cold steel against the heat of betrayal. The devoted wife? The fixer? Or the fool who trusted a snake? His eyes darted to the door. The phone on the counter, calculating escapes. Classic Mark. Always 3 moves ahead. Until the board flipped. Baby. Listen. We can talk. therapy, whatever. Just don't do something stupid. Stupid. Like marrying you. Like burying bodies of lies for 8 years. Sit, I commanded, nodding to the island stool. He complied, gingerly, sweat beading on his brow despite the November chill seeping through the windows. I circled him, gun loose at my side now, a prop in our twisted theater. You know why this? Mark, not the fucking though God. That's rich. Not even the debts, though you'd sell our souls for a blackjack hand. It's the erasure. You wrote me out. The fall guy in your script. He swallowed. Adam's apple bobbing. I never ask you to confess. That was your call, martyr complex, or whatever shrinks call it. My call? The laugh escaped. Sharp as glass. You begged. Remember? On your knees in that motel off I-90, after the feds knocked. Please.
And
they'll ruin me. Think of the life we're building. And I did. Scrubbed counters for strangers while you networked at the Soho house. His jaw clenched. Defiance flickering. And I paid for it. Therapy bills. Your sabbatical laughter. I carried us. I slammed the gun on the counter, not at him, but close enough to make him flinch. You carried Tara to orgasm on our couch. Carry her to that no-tell in Oak Park last month. Check the Amex. Genius. Consulting fee my ass. Silence stretched. Taut as piano wire. Then, the flip. Remorse. Engineered. Okay. I fucked up.
bad.
But it's stress. The market's tanking. Bonuses slashed.
Tara.
She's nothing. A distraction. Nothing. I echoed. Tasting bile. Like me? No. He lunged forward. Hands grasping air. You're everything. Let me fix this. We'll go to counseling. Sell the place. Downsize. Start over. Start over. The American dream's favorite lie, reinvent. Relocate.
Rinse.
But I'd reinvented once. For him. And look where it landed. Gun in hand. Marriage in ruins. The buzzer shattered the standoff. FedEx. Oblivious. I signed for the envelope. Heavy with promise. Victor's gift. Docs stamped and notarized. Mark's eyes tracked it. Suspicion dawning. What's that? Insurance. I tossed it unopened onto the table, watching it skid to a stop. Your sins. Gift wrapped. Schemes from the 90 merger, $500,000 rerouted to Cayman shells. Tara's signatures all over. His face crumpled, then hardened, the antagonist emerging. Mask shedding. You think you're clean? That confession was perjury. Elena. Obstruction. One word from me, and you're back in cuffs. Threat. The air crackled. I raised the gun again.
Casual.
Do it. Call the cops. Tell how your wife shot you in self-defense after you came at her with a knife. Or better, how I caught you with a side piece and you snapped. You wouldn't, but doubt crept in. His bluff cracking. Test me. We locked eyes. Chicago sprawling below like a chessboard we'd both lost. Minutes ticked 5, 10, until his shoulders sagged. What do you want? Truth. Simple. Devastating. All of it. From the beginning. He exhaled. Deflating. The story poured. The first bet in college. Tailgating at a Michigan game. The rush. The high, the spiral after graduation. When Wall Street's glamour masked the void.
Me?
I was the anchor, he said, the stability he craved but chafed against. Tara entered post-17. A temp at his holiday party. Just drinks that snowballed into escape. And the money? I prodded. Gun steady. Panic. He rubbed his face. Stubble rasping. After your probation. The firm watched me like hawks. I cooked books to cover losses, small at first. Victor. He was supposed to be a bridge. Bridge to where?
Ruin.
But hearing it voiced? Cathartic. Like lancing a boil. I lowered the weapon. Adrenaline crashing. We're done. Mark.
Pack your shit.
50% of assets. Or Victor's files hit the U.S. Attorney by noon. He nodded. Broken but plodding. I saw it in the flicker. The way his mind whirred. As he shuffled to the bedroom, zipping suits into garment bags. I texted Tara, it's over. Walk away clean. Or join him in hell. Her reply, you crazy bitch. He loves me.
Love.
Again. I blocked her. Poured coffee with shaking hands. He left at noon. Duffel slung. A curt, I'll call my lawyer. The door clicked shut. Echoing finality. I collapsed onto the couch. Our couch. Sobs racking until lungs burned. Grief. Raw and unexpected. For the man I'd loved. The life I'd built. But morning's brief in revenge's grip. By evening, Abuela knocked. Her key turning like fate. I saw him leave. Good riddance. We sat on the balcony. City lights winking like conspirators. Her rosary beads clicking softly. You strong.
Mia.
But don't let hate eat you. Too late. Hate was fuel. The next week's blurred. Divorce papers drafted me pro-SE. Natch. Assets frozen, pending settlement. Mark lawyered up quick, some shark from Kirkland, filing counters for emotional distress.
Cute.
I countered with Victor's affidavits. Anonymous to him, but ironclad. Tara vanished, ghosted his calls. Per my anonymous tip to her boss about irregular escrow.
Poetic. But the twist?
Harlan called mid-December. Voice grave. Elena. That audit? It's blown wide. Feds raiding Goldman's Chicago office tomorrow. Your name's in the mix, 17 ties. My blood froze.
Mark.
Had to be, leaking to bury me deeper. Flip the script. I met Victor at a diner off Cicero. Formica tables sticky with syrup ghosts. He knows, Victor grunted, sliding a fresh envelope. Threatened me. Said you'd crack first. Crack. Never. Double down. Get me a sit-down with the AUSA. Risky, exposing my perjury, but calculated. Better to confess clean. Trade for immunity. Then let Mark drag me under. The meeting was sterile, federal building in the loop. Fluorescent hum. 2 agents in off-rack suits. Agent Ruiz, Puerto Rican. No nonsense, eyed me across the table. MS. Esquez. We appreciate the cooperation. But obstruction's serious. Why now? New evidence. I slid the docs. My ex-husband's the architect. I shielded once. Won't again. They bought it, prelim deal sketched. My testimony key. Mark's empire crumbled overnight. Cuffs at dawn. Headlines screaming, Goldman VP nabbed an embezzlement sting. I watched from the TV. Abuela's hand in mine. A grim satisfaction blooming. But as they let him out, cameras flashing, our eyes met through the screen, his wild with betrayal. You did this. The headline might as well read. Revenge tasted like ash. Victor texted, loose ends tied. Tara's flipping too. You're clear.
Clear. Free.
Yet the apartment echoed empty. Ghosts in every corner. New Year's Eve. I stood on the balcony. Champagne flute raised to the fireworks exploding over Navy Pier. A toast to endings. But as the colors faded, a knock insistent. Mark's lawyer. Briefcase in hand. Settlement offer. Full assets. No contest. If you drop the perjury angle. I laughed. Signing nothing. Tell him game's over. But as he left, my phone buzzed unknown. You think you won? Check the safe.
M.
The safe. Heart pounding. I cracked it. Not the Glock, but a USB. Files, videos. Grainy. Me shredding docs in 17.
Timestamped.
Audio crisp. For you, Mark. Always. Blackmail. The final flip. He'd planted it years ago. Insurance against my martyr streak. Rage reignited. I smashed the drive. But the damage? Eternal. January's bite sank deep into Chicago. The wind off the lake a relentless bully. Frosting the Gold Coast windows with intricate defeats. I sold the penthouse, fire sale quick, to a tech bro from Silicon Valley who saw potential in the bones I'd picked clean. Proceeds split 60/40ths, my way, thanks to the Fed's asset forfeiture on Mark's side hustles. New digs, a walk-up in Ukrainian village. 3rd floor. Creaky radiator hissing like old grudges. Cozy, they call it. Claustrophobic, I'd say, but it beat echoes. Abuela moved in temporary, her Pilsen apartment too drafty for winter. Or so she claimed. Really? It was watchdogging. You need eyes on you.
Mia.
That man's poison lingers. Nights. We'd cook, eras con gandals steaming. Her stories of Cuba weaving through the sizzle. Tales of grandmothers who'd cursed worse betrayers with brujeria. Work beckoned tentative. Freelance consulting for a pro bono clinic in Humboldt Park. Arguing evictions for tenants squeezed by slumlords. No marble halls. No corner office. But purpose, raw. Unfiltered. Harlan reached out once. Voice oily. Come back. Junior partner track. I hung up. Bridges burned make fine ashes. Mark's trial loomed. Federal courthouse. March docket. I prepped testimony like a closing argument. Ruiz coaching. Stick to facts. No emotion. Easy to say when it's not your heart on the stand. But distractions mounted. Tara resurfaced, not vengeful, but desperate. Coffee at a Intelligentsia in Logan Square. Her extensions traded for a pixie cut. Eyes shadowed like mine. He played us both, she said, stirring oat milk into her flat white. Said you were abusive. Volatile. Volatile. His favorite smear. Whispered to friends. Now her. I nodded. Unsurprised. And the money? She flushed. I thought it was legit. Investments. He promised equity. Equity in lies. We bonded brief. Wounded birds comparing scars. Her spilling how he'd love-bombed her post our Venice trip. The one that broke him. Broke him. As if I hadn't stitched his wounds. Testify, I urged. Flip clean. She did. Deal in hand. But as we parted, her hug lingered. You deserved better. Elena. Did I? Nights alone. Abuela snoring down the hall. I'd replay the safe's USB, imagined frames haunting. Had he watched it? Nights with Tara. Laughing at my devotion? Or wept? Guilt gnawing? February brought snowpocalypse. The city paralyzed. Drifts piling like unresolved sins. I shoveled a walk, breath fogging, when a black SUV idled curbside. Window down, Victor. Cigar chomped. Ride. Against better judgment. I climbed in leather seats.
Heater blasting.
What's the play? Mark squawking from MCC. Says you'll recant. Offering juice. Witness tampering.
Tampering.
The accusation stung. Implication clear. I'd rigged it all. Let him squawk. Victor chuckled. Smoke wreathing. Loyalty's a bitch. Vasquez. But word? Feds got more. Your shred session?
He taped it.
Full confession. The USB. Public now? My gut hollowed. Leverage. Against you. Plea bargain bait. Drop charges. He walks partial.
No.
I'd burn first. Get me access. Unofficial. MCC, Metropolitan Correctional Center, loomed grim. Razor wire glinting under sodium lamps. Visitor's booth. Plexiglass divide. Phone greasy. Mark shuffled in. Orange jumpsuit clowning his frame. Unshaven. Eyes hollowed. Elena. Voice tinny through the receiver. You came. Not for reunion. I gripped the phone. Knuckles white. The tape. Destroy it. He leaned close. Smirk ghosting.
Why?
Afraid of truth? You perjured for love.
Él.
Pathetic. Pathetic. The word ignited old fires. You're done.
Mark.
20 years min. If the judge is kind. His laugh crackled. Or I testify, your hand in the schemes. We go down together. Partners in crime. Remember?
Partners.
The myth we'd clung to. You flipped first.
Tara.
Victor, everyone sings. You're the villain. Villain. He pressed the glass. Vein throbbing. You pulled the trigger on us. Faked the firing. Spied like a paranoiac. That's not love. That's control. Control. The mirror cracked, his accusation lancing my certainty.
Had I pushed too far?
Testing until it broke? The layoff pretense started innocent. A gut check on fidelity. But it morphed, hacking, tailing, gun into something darker. My hands a stained. Sign the papers, I said, voice cracking. Clean exit. He shook his head. One condition, recant. We both walk. Temptation whispered, freedom. Fresh start. But Abuela's voice echoed, don't let hate eat you. Hate. Or justice. Line blurred. I can't. Hang up. Walk out into the blizzard. Snow stinging like accusations. Trial week arrived. March Madness under fluorescent skies. Courthouse steps swarmed, reporters, gawkers. The circus of American justice. I testified day 2. Suit pressed. Voice steady, timelines, transfers. The 17 cover-eyed unraveled. Mark's eyes bored from the defense table. Daggers of disdain. Cross-exam, his attorney, silver-haired fox.
Pounced.
MS. Vasquez. Isn't it true you fabricated evidence? Planted docs to frame your husband. Objections sustained, but damage sown. Doubt rippling through the jury. Midwestern faces creased in judgment. Tara followed, crumbling under pressure. He coerced me. I didn't know. Tears. Authentic. Victor sealed. Debts real. Schemes his. Closing arguments thundered. Prosecution painting Mark the serpent. Defense me the harpy. Deliberations stretched 2 days. Me hold in a loop hotel. Abuelas novenas on speaker. Verdict. Guilty. 15 years. No drama, no courtroom collapse. Just gavel crack and marshal's cuffing. He met my gaze as they let him out. Not rage, but pity. You destroyed us.
El. Us.
The pronoun lingered. Haunting.
Outside.
Flashbulbs popped. A reporter thrust mic. Regrets? Yes. Vasquez. Only trusting a liar. But inside, regret bloomed for the girl who'd believed, for the vengeance that tasted Pyrrhic. Spring thawed the city slow, tulips pushing through concrete like stubborn hope. I passed the bar reinstatement, landed a gig at the clinic full-time, advocating for the voiceless. Irony not lost. Dates flickered. A barista with tattoos. A prof from UIC. Sparks. But no fire. Trust fractured. Shard sharp. One night. May bloom heavy. A letter arrived, forwarded. MCC postmark. Mark scrawl. Elena, 15 years. For what? Your pride? I loved you.
Once.
But you broke first, testing. Trapping. The tape?
Destroyed. Mercy.
Don't waste your life hating mine.
M. Mercy.
Or manipulation. I burned it in the sink. Flames dancing blue. But the real twist? Weeks later. Ruiz called. Anomaly in the files. Your confession vid? Altered. Timestamp fudged. Mark planted it. Framed you deeper. Framed. The final betrayal. He'd sabotaged me from the start, ensuring mutual destruction if caught. Rage. Or relief. I chose release therapy. Real this time. Unpacking the martyr in me. Summer hummed. Lake breezes carrying promise. Abuela moved back. Hugs fierce. New chapter.
Mia.
Yet on quiet nights, the city's pulse mocked. Honks. Laughter. Levs unscarred. I'd won. But victory hollow, readers split. Debating, was I avenger or architect of ruin? The gun? Locked away. But some scars? They itch eternal. June's humidity clung like regret, turning Chicago into a steam bath where tempers simmered and secrets festered. I threw myself into the clinic grind, eviction defenses in basements reeking of mildew, cross-examining landlords with Rolexes and rented sympathy. Clients called me La Abogada Feroz, fierce lawyer, a title warmer than any partner nod. But paydays were ramen thin, forcing side hustles, ghostwriting briefs for solo practitioners too swamped for ethics. Abuela thrived, her garden on the fire escape exploding in tomatoes and chilies. Salsa jars lining the sill like talismans. Men are like onions. Mija, layers of stink. Her wisdom, delivered over café con leche, kept the darkness at bay. Mark's appeal dragged, motions flying like confetti at a funeral. His lawyer pinged once. New evidence. Your bias tainted the trial. Bullshit. But it gnawed. A splinter under skin. Then, the call. Harlan. Again. Elena. Opportunity. Pro bono for the firm, high profile. Antitrust against Big Pharma. Your name on the marquee. Marquee. The seduction of spotlight. I met him at Shaw's Crab House. Oysters raw as truth. His eyes gleaming. You're wasted in that sweatshop.
Come back.
Real money. Real impact. Impact. The word hooked deep. Visions of dismantling the machine that had chewed me. What's the catch? No catch. Fresh start. Lie detector in his smile said otherwise. I signed on. Moonlighting. The clinic none the wiser. Days blurred. Cord in the loop. Nights in village dives. The divide widening like a fault line. Tara texted sporadic, apologies laced with we should grab drinks. I declined, but curiosity won once. Rooftop bar in West Loop. Skyline aglow. Her in sundress and regret. You're glowing, she said. Clinking IPAs. Free. Ha. Bitter sip. You. Therapy. New job, nonprofit.
He.
Messaged from inside. Wants forgiveness. Forgiveness. The holy grail of the betrayed. And she shrugged. Wind tousling her pixie. Told him to fuck off. But Elena. He said you knew. About the tape. The frame. Claimed you pushed him to it. Test gone wrong.
Pushed.
The narrative flip again, me the instigator. He lies like he breathes. Maybe. Her eyes searched. But what if? We all broke each other. Philosophy over beers. The city indifferent below. We parted uneasy allies. Her number saved just in case. July 4th boomed, fireworks over the lake. Crowds thick as thieves. I watched from the walk-up roof. Abuela's tamales in hand. The bursts mirroring shrapnel in my chest. A text from Ruiz, appeal denied. Your boy's headed to Terre Haute.
Congrats. Congrats.
I deleted it. But sleep brought dreams. Mark in orange. Whispering partners. The gun heavy in my palm. Wake-up call, clinic firestorm. My star client, single mom. Evicted for Renos, that never happened. Landlord countersued for defamation. Dredging my past indiscretions. 17 plea. Splashed in filings. Whisper spread. That lawyer.
Crooked.
Harlan bailed. Firm dropping the pro bono like hot coal. Liability.
Elena.
Sorry.
Sorry.
The word's currency devalued. I confronted the source. Anonymous tip to the landlord's attorney. Mirroring Mark's playbook.
Who?
Tara. Burned? Victor. Double dipping? Digging unearthed it. Mark's sister. Karen's clone, Karen Jr. Napalm in Lululemon. She'd heard stories from family dinners. Fed the leak to protect the innocent. Innocent. I drove to Naperville uninvited. Suburbia a sterile maze of McMansions and minivans. Her door open to yoga mats and suspicion. Elena. Bold. Truthful. No preamble. You torpedoed my case. Why? She crossed arms. Blonde bob defiant. Mark's ruined. You gloat while we bury him? Family sticks. Family? Snort. He cheated on me. Gambled our life. Framed me. Lies. But eyes wavered. He said you trapped him. Faked the layoff. Forced the confession vid. Again. The script. I pulled the USB shards from my bag. Melted plastic testament. He planted it. To drag me down. She deflated. Inviting me in lemonade served stiff. Kids' toys underfoot. Stories swapped his boyhood cons. The charm masking chaos. We didn't know. Thought you were the gold digger. Gold digger. The irony burned. We parted civil, her promising to recant. A retraction filed quiet. But damage lingered. Clinic board summoned me. Reputation risk. Elena. Take leave.
Leave.
Echo of the firing. I quit instead. Pride a pyre. August scorched. Heat waves warping the L tracks. Freelance dried. Savings hemorrhaged. Abuela sensed. Go home.
Mia.
Cuba calls. Home. Tempting. But roots dug deep. Instead, I pivoted, true crime pod, pitching my story to a producer in Wicker Park. Betrayal and Bullets, I titled it. The wife who shot first. They bid. Mic in a converted garage studio. My voice raw over beats. Episodes dropped. The test, detailing the fake layoff. The tape, the frame exposed. Listeners flooded, DMs split. Hero versus
Psycho.
Fame's double edge. Gigs trickled. Keynotes at women's shelters. Op-eds in the Trib. But stalkers too. A fanboy tailing me from Whole Foods. Mark's handwriting in notes. Karma's a bitch. Security upped. Pepper spray. Deadbolts. Victor warned. Heat's on. Exes make enemies. September crispened. Leaves turning traitor. Pod hit top charts. Interview requests piling. CNN wanted the face of female vengeance. I demurred, too raw. Then, the letter. Terre Haute stationery. Mark's pen precise. Pod's good. You always had the voice. But twist. I didn't frame you. The vid?
Real.
You confessed willing. I kept it for protection, yours.
Mine.
Destroyed it when you pulled the gun. Love wasn't lie.
Elle.
It was survival. Survival. His truth. Or mine. Doubt crept. A vine choking certainty. Ruiz confirmed. Timestamp legit. No doctored. Legit. I'd confessed pure. Love's blindfold. The frame? My projection. Vengeance's shadow. Crisis hit. Pod producer pulled episodes. Libel risk.
Sponsors fled.
Back to zero. Voice silenced. Abuela hugged fierce. Truth sets free. Not pays bills. October haunted. Winds whispering ghosts. I walked the lakefront. Waves lapping like apologies. A figure approached, blurry in dusk. Tara. Bundled. Heard the pod. Rough.
Pause.
Mark wrote me too. Same line, survival.
We sat on a bench.
City lights fracturing on water. What now? She asked. Fight. Resolve hardened. Sue the leakers. Reclaim. She nodded. Together? Allies forged in fire. November circled, anniversary of the shot. I visited the old penthouse. Now strangers' lights glowing. Ghosts stirred. Laughter.
Lies.
The bullets pop. No gun this time. Just closure, a letter mailed. Survival's lonely. Forgive?
No.
Forget? Maybe.
E.
His reply never came. But peace? It budded.
Tentative.
December dusted Chicago in confectioner's sugar. Holiday lights strung like nooses across Magnificent Mile. The city preened, tree in Millennium Park. Skaters gliding oblivious, while I navigated the wreckage. Eviction notices for clients. My own rent teetering. Tara and I teamed up, her nonprofit savvy. My legal teeth, filing class actions against predatory lenders. Small wins stacking like armor. Abuela's health dipped, cough rattling like dice in a cup. Old bones.
Mia.
But her eyes sparkled at our war room sessions in the walk-up. Take-out cartons, mapping strategy. Pod fallout lingered. Lawsuits from Mark's camp. Defamation claims piling. His attorney, same shark, deposed me in a River North office. All glass and intimidation. You profited from lies.
MS.
Vasquez. Pod monetized his pain. Pain. I leaned forward. Voice venom. He profited from my silence, embezzled while I scrubbed pots.
The pod?
Truth's toll. Jury pending. But the fight fueled me, gray area justice. Where right blurred wrong. Victor's call shattered routine. Trouble. Mark's cellmate, ex-outfit, talking. Says your ex hired muscle. Message for loose lips. Muscle. The chills settled deep. I upped vigilance. Routes varied. Doors double-locked. Tara crashed one night. Paranoia shared. He won't stop. Control freak to the end. Christmas Eve. Abuela's tamale steaming. We three toasted under paper chains. Family improvised. But midnight brought the buzz. Burner. Unknown. Vasquez. Walk away from the suits. Or Abuela's next. Threat. Ice in veins. I traced it. Burner bought cash at a South Side bodega. CCTV blurry. Mark's reach. From Supermax bars. Ruiz looped in. Protected witness? We can move you.
No.
Defiance. Fight here. New Year's dawned hungover. Resolutions mocking. I pitched a book, memoir. Shots in the dark. Agent in New York hooked. Raw. Controversial.
It'll sell.
Advances bought time. Rent paid. Abuela's meds stocked. Tara co-wrote. Her chapters the counterpoint. Mistress to survivor. Splitting readers further. She deserved it versus. Collateral damage? Launch party. Cramped bookstore in Andersonville. Snow swirling outside. Crowd mixed supporters. Skeptics. A heckler shouting murderer from the back. I faced it. Not murder. Mercy killing for the woman I was. Q&A crackled. Regret the gun? A podcaster asked. Regret believing, I countered. But not acting. Signings followed. Faces blurring, widows nodding. Cheaters averting eyes. One stood out. Karen. Mark's mom. Coat clutched like shield. Elena. Voice quaver. Heard the threats. It's him, stubborn to the grave.
Grave.
The word hung. Why tell me? Family's fractured.
Your abuela.
She's family too. Tears welled. End it. For all. Plea or ploy. I nodded. But wired Ruiz. Surveillance up. February frosted resolutions. Book climbing charts. NYT listees. But backlash brewed. Op-eds decrying feminism's dark side. Trolls doxing my walk-up. Abuela answered one door. Delivery, gift. Dead roses.
Card blank.
Enough. I confronted Mark, final visit. Terre Haute's gray moss swallowing the drive. Booth sterile. His face gaunt. Ink tattoos creeping from cuffs. You, I said. Phone to ear. The threats. Stop. Innocence feigned. Me? Locked up.
El.
Blame your fame. Enemies breed. Liar. Evidence spilled. Cell logs. The bodega linked to his commissary contacts. Call off the dogs. His flip, charm to chill. Or what? More testimony? You've milked that dry. Milked. The dehumanizing. It's over.
Mark.
Drop the appeals. The suits. Walk free in spirit. He leaned, glass fogging breath. Spirit? You stole mine. The test firing fake? That broke trust first.
Broke.
Circle complete. We broke each other. Silence. Then, truce. For Abuela, truce. I hung up, but Ruiz tailed. He's clean. No calls out.
Clean?
Doubt nod. March Madness revisited. Trial for the countersuit. Courtroom packed. Cameras barred, but whispers viral. I testified. Lies dissected. My motive probed. Revenge porn. They called the pod. Tara backed. He manipulated us both. Jury deliberated swift. Dismissed. His claims baseless. Victory lap muted. Threats escalated. A brick through the bookstore window post-verdict. Victor vanished, poof. Debts called in by ghosts. Tara bolted to Milwaukee. Safer. Alone with Abuela. Nights wired. April bloomed treacherous. Cherry blossoms mocking fragility. Book tour loomed. Coast calling. Escape veiled. But the night before departure. The break-in. Door jimmied. Drawers ransacked. Nothing taken. Message clear. Abuela found trembling. Go.
Mia.
Live. Flight to LAX dawnlit. City shrinking below. LA glittered, panels, signings. The machine devouring stories. Fans mobbed, inspiring. Detractors picketed. Vigilante. Mid-tour. The call, Abuela hospitalized. Fall, they said. Heart strain. I flew back. O'Hara blur. Her room sterile. Monitors beeping dirge. Foolish girl, she whispered. Hand frail. Hates chain. Break it. I did. At bedside. Forgiveness murmured. Not for him, for me. Nurses nodded. She slept. May green the lakefront. Her funeral simple, Pilsen church. Maracas soft. Mourners spilling onto sidewalks. Karen attended. Distant nod exchanged. Grief's weight lifted slow. Tour wrapped. Book peaked debate fodder, empowering or enabling toxicity. June circled to the shot's anniversary. I stood kitchen of the old life, penthouse sold, but memories lease eternal. No gun. Just gin. Neat. Toasting ghosts. A package arrived. Terre Haute return. Inside. The original confession tape. Unburned, his final flip. Truth unedited. I watched. My voice. Young. Fierce. For us.
Mark.
Always. Always. Ended. July's heat wave baked the Midwest into submission. Asphalt shimmering like bad decisions under a relentless sun. I scattered Abuela's ashes off Navy Pier at dawn, the lake swallowing her with gentle waves. A far cry from the tempests she'd weathered. To new shores. A view, I whispered. Vial empty. Heart fraction lighter. The city awoke around me. Joggers pounding pavement. Ferries chugging tourists. Life's indifferent churn. A reminder that endings birth awkward beginnings. Back in the village walk up, now mine alone. Lease renewed with book royalties, I sorted her things. Rosaries coiled like promises. Recipes scrawled in faded ink. A letter tucked in her Bible. Mija, love fierce. Forgive fierce. You're free.
Free.
The word echoed hollow, but rooted. The pod relaunched, rebranded, unshackled. Episodes pivoting to survivors' spotlights. My story prologue only. Listeners searched. Redemption arc. Forums fractured. Too soft now versus. Growth real. Controversies currency. Spent wisely. Tara visited once. Milwaukee bound U-Haul idling. Heard about your well. Sorry. Hug brief. Then, I'm pregnant.
Not his new guy.
Clean slate.
Slate.
Envy flickered. Then pride. Own it. August whispered autumn early. Fairs in Grant Park buzzing with funnel cake and fleeting joys. I dated tentative, a prosecutor with laugh lines. Dinners at Girl, and the goat where small talk skirted scars. Heard your story, he said one night. Fork pausing mid-bite. Brave. Stupid, I countered. But necessary. Sparks kindled slow, no rush. Trust rebuilt brick by wary brick. September's equinox brought closure. Mark's final appeal crushed. Sentence ironclad. Ruiz closed the file. You're clear. No more shadows. Shadows. They lingered in dreams, gun recoil. Blood arcs, but faded with therapy's grind. Sessions unpacking the test's genesis. My own daddy issues. Abandonment's echo in every betrayal. October gilded the parks. Leaves crunching underfoot like brittle bones. Book 2 brewed, fiction this time. Thriller veiled in truth. Wife tests husband. Empire crumbles. Twist where she's the gambler. Debt's her own. Agent drooled. Gray? Debatable. It'll kill. November's chill nipped. Thanksgiving solo, turkey frozen. Netflix binge. But a call, Karen. Dinner? Neutral ground. Neutral, her Naperville colonial. Table set formal.
Turkey dry.
But talk flowed. Regrets aired. His childhood cons forgiven posthumous. He wrote you, she said. Envelope slid. Before transfer. Transfer to a low SEC in Florida. Model prisoner now. I read later. Alone. Years to reflect. The test broke me, but I broke us first. Debts were escape from mediocrity, yours. The shine I chased. Forgive the unforgivable? Maybe not. But understand, love twisted to survival. Live bright. Understand. Bridge mended partial. I wrote back. Understood. Living. December capped the year. Snow blanketing sins. Holiday lights twinkled forgiveness. Parties pulsing with promise. I hosted clinic crew. Tara zooming from Milwaukee, with bump prominent. Laughter real. Gin flowing free. New Year's Eve. Lakefront again. Countdown booming. Fireworks erupted. Colors fracturing night. No longer shrapnel, but stars reclaimed. A figure approached. Him. The prosecutor, Ryan. Name stuck. Mine company? Not tonight. Hand in hand. We watched the sky surrender to dawn. The twist? Life's no tidy bow. Mark paroled early. Good behavior. 28. Letter came, out soon.
Coffee?
Closure. I pondered. Pen hovering. Accept? Debate fodder eternal. Reunion risk or grace. Declined polite. Closed.
Be well.
Budding quiet. Wonder, what if the real revenge was release, letting go? Gray areas embraced? Chicago slumbered. Wind whispering always into winter's hush. I slept sound. Dreams of lake waves. Not blood. No heroes. No villains, just survivors. Stitching scars into stories that split the soul. Fade to credits. Debatable end. Your call.